We've spent time on this podcast discussing the high end of commercials, but I thought it would be good to talk about the other end of the spectrum, the local commercial. Working on a fraction of the budget, these spots can range from endearing gems to embarrassing missteps. I know I can't help but judge them every time I see one, so I'm excited to get everyone's takes. But first, this episode of Almost Productive Coffee Break is brought to you by Incorrect Facts. Did you know that over 1/3 of all car accidents are caused by the illegal operation of the ceiling light while driving? Stay safe, stay in the dark. Welcome to an Almost Productive Coffee Break, the same bold flavor of our original podcast brew in a single shot. Perfect for those times when you need a quick marketing pick-me-up. I'm Sean.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Addie.
And we are all marketing professionals at New Boston Creative Group in Manhattan, Kansas. All right. So diving right into this topic, what we love and hate about local commercials. And we can jump in anywhere, like good ones, bad ones. I'll start us off with one that is, I think it was just last year that was fairly recent, which is a good example of someone taking a relevant sort of local idea and jumping with it. Someone from the Iowa Pork Association saw that players on the Iowa State football team had the last names that, when paired together, were basically references to like food and breakfast. Like someone's last name was, ham, one was bacon. I'll look up the full list, but they then developed a whole set of commercials and social posts that then use these players' names that everybody was already familiar with. That's an Iowa team, the Iowa, like it just all worked wonderfully. And, is an easy, cheap idea. It doesn't take $1 million to put that together. It's just really good forethought on someone to notice it and sort of jump on top of it.
Incredible. I will start with a not so positive example, which is car dealerships. I think just as a whole, there's a lot of room for improvement. And I would love to know when and why this started. I don't know if I should say never, but I don't think I have ever seen a successful local car commercial. They are always so cheesy, over the top, they're forced, and they drive me a little bit bonkers, actually. And I don't really understand why. These people are salespeople, so you would think that they would be like really nice and loose in front of a camera, but that has not been my viewing experience.
Yeah. I also don't understand if there's some sort of mandate that if you own a car dealership, you have to be in the commercial. Like they're like, well, we can't hire actors. Right. We can't have other people do this. Like I'm the only one who can do this because that's just how it is. And I'll go to jail, car dealership jail, if I'm not in this commercial.
Or consider like a nice voiceover with some B-roll. Just hitting that home. You do not have to be in the commercial.
Nor do your children. There's a whole world of let's get the kids in the commercial.
Yeah.
And those are cringy.
Yeah, I don't want to purchase your product because you had children. In a similar vein, there's been one I've seen recently. I think it's for roofing, but the entire set of commercials is just around their dogs, that they have dogs, that they're two dogs that look alike, that they can dress up in outfits. So hire us to do your roof. And I do not understand what the concept is.
So where we are, there is a personal injury lawyer. And that's a whole other, like car dealerships, that's a whole other subgenre of the local commercial. But there's this personal injury lawyer who has a dog featured prominently in his ads. There's also a cartoon rocket ship. In some of the commercials, the dog is going to drive the car and he says, "Do you even know where we're going?" It has nothing to do with accidents or getting injured.
Is that a set of commercials that crosses over into endearing? They're so ridiculous, or is it too far?
I think it's too far because like humor is one of those things that I feel like a lot of local commercials fall flat on. They're trying to be funny, but they don't have the budget. They don't have the acting talent or chops. They don't have the special effects to pull it off, or even the timing, you know. So I have very rarely. I'm trying to. I'll have to think if something has crossed
Yeah.
over from.
Because there's
ridiculous
sometimes
to
where
annoying.
just the sheer repetition and drive of the commercial to stick with the whatever the gimmick is will start to become endearing, you know, because I can imagine a scenario where seeing Bunky the dog in a rocket ship, if that showed up every time, it would start to become its own like meme of a commercial where you'd maybe start getting on board, like where it starts crossing over into I can't wait to see him again. And just to
Yeah.
circle back, because I wanted to get this right, the Iowa State players, and I think there were more, but I found a quick one that showed they were able to put 4 of them together, which is incredible. So one of them's, these are all last names of Purchase, Moore, and then one's last name is Hammond, and then one's Bacon. So Purchase, Moore, Hammond, Bacon, 4 players.
Amazing.
just
That's
brilliant.
incredible.
Brilliant.
That is incredible. Yeah.
I think I don't know exactly what the name of the restaurant is. I can't remember, but a successful local commercial that we saw recently was featuring a local Italian restaurant, and they were not trying to be funny. It was just, here's who we are. This is what we have. And it had some B-roll of local spots around the restaurant's location. So if you know, well, if you're not 1,000% confident that your jokes will land, I would really encourage you to just go the simple, sincere route. It's very effective and people will not be laughing at you instead of with you. And anytime you can localize your message, that's also important.
Right. I don't think you can ever go wrong with just say it straight. Like, here's what we do. Here's where we're located. Here are our hours. You know, there's not a lot of ways to mess that up. Like, I've got all the information. There's nothing there that's going to dock you. Just like do it clean and simple.
Agree.
There's one from Kansas. So we lived there almost 10 years ago. My husband and I still talk about it, which is Film at 11. So you hear Film at 11, you might remember like the old newsreels, because the news would come on at 11 and they'd be like, they'd tease the full story that they would have Film at 11. The ads for Film at 11 incorporate that, but incorporate some other themes as well. But the actual product is auto accessories.
I did not
Yeah.
see that coming.
Yeah. It's
No,
very
and
confusing.
it's like every time one of those would come on, we would be like, what is this business? Because they had this newsy tease, but they had another genre thrown in. And then it was like, why are they showing us cars? We had no idea.
Yeah. It took me a long time to try to figure out what the name had to do with like car tint.
Nothing.
Right. Another, I think, a good thing that I love about local commercials that when done really well is their jingles. And for Manhattan here, the pizza shuttle jingle, I think if you've lived here long enough, like it's in one of those that's just like it's in your brain. Like you just walk around and you know their phone number because it's in the jingle and you can just sing it whenever you want. Like you don't need a phone book. You don't need your phone to know how to call pizza shuttle because the jingle is just too good.
This is an older one, but I think you all know it's a favorite of mine, is the Red House Furniture ad. I need to look up who produces it, but they've done a couple of these ads where it's just a completely ridiculous jingle and concept, but it's also amazing.
I think it's Rhett and Link who they went around and did a bunch of these like local commercials and, you know, put in the required amount of effort to maintain the local style, but making them memorable.
Yeah. Elevating beyond
right
the locality. Funny enough, I just opened I just searched for them. Red House Furniture on Instagram has one post.
Not their
That's
strong
amazing.
suit, the social media presence.
I only
That is
needed that one
amazing.
commercial. Do we have any others?
Producer Nick here. Another subgenre that's usually made in-house and stars the face of the business or local law commercials.
Right.
And when I lived in Kansas City, Jungle Law was a big one. The billboards were everywhere, as you can imagine. I mean, it's like jungle themed, lots of animals, guy and, like in the Tarzan, like cheetah suit. And he's got long blonde hair, right? So I don't know what came first. I don't know if his
Right.
long blonde hair came first and then came Jungle Law, or Jungle Law and he's like, I'm going to be Tarzan, man.
Right. This is probably one of those where the Jungle Law chose him.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
He didn't choose
He didn't
Jungle
choose
Law.
Jungle Law.
Jungle Law chose him.
Right.
Yep.
The beauty of that, though, is it's not, Tavish Flims and Sacker and Sons, where like
Right.
only those people listed can be in it. This guy or gal who's heading Jungle Law can start up a franchise, and anyone can buy into that.
Right.
You, dear listener, you can buy into that.
We're all a piece of Jungle Law.
That's right.
There's a guy down in Houston. So he's the Texas Hammer. What's his name? I don't know his name. I don't know
we
if this
have
will
a
make it.
hammer.
And he just, in his commercial, he walks around with the sledgehammer. I don't know what he's.
Yeah.
I feel like some of these genres, like, personal injury lawyer, law in general, perhaps, car dealerships, you have a choice. You can try to lean into the terribleness and like make a
Mhm.
joke kind of yourself and be in on the joke, or go the opposite direction, be sincere, be informative, and not even try to be comedic. And then if you find yourself in the middle ground there, I feel like that's when things go poorly.
Right. You sort of have to choose. You have to buy in. Like, are you going with your
Mhm.
gimmick that, like, yeah, you're going to show up with a sledgehammer in every commercial and call yourself the Hammer? Or, yeah.
Which
you're
takes commitment. You can't do
Right.
that twice and then call it a day. That's kind of
No.
your thing then.
Right. It's now your thing. When people show up, they expect to see the hammer,
Yes.
and you got to be ready to deal with that.
Absolutely.
With
Yeah.
great power comes great responsibility.
With great hammer comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
Ours is some guy who stands in front of a green screen and screams the whole time. And the ending is you talk, I hammer. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that covers
Go
it.
team.
Together, we are one marketing genius.
Yeah. Let us know, any favorite local commercials that we didn't talk about or subgenres. Thanks for talking, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of Almost Productive. Before we go, we'd like to give a shout out to our producers Nick and Molly, who work behind the scenes to make this podcast possible. If you'd like to learn more about what we do at New Boston Creative Group, you can reach us at newbostoncreative.com. You can also follow us on social media at New Boston Creative on Instagram and New Boston Creative Group on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you like this episode, please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your friends. And if you didn't like the show, feel free to recommend us to your enemies. Tune in next time for some more office shenanigans, thoughts on trending topics, and marketing adjacent insight. Until next time, we hope you have a productive day.